everybody. Welcome back to this week's TPRM Tidbits. I'm Tom Garrubba with Echelon Risk and Cyber. Today, I want to talk about the proper context for the word supply chain. Okay, this has been something that's been, struggling with for the last couple of weeks, and I've been seeing this at a couple of conferences I've been going to recently. And I feel that they're incorrectly using the term supply chain. And let me explain. You see, when we talk about supply chain, historically we're talking about a company that's actually manufacturing something to go to market. See, for instance, it's automobiles, okay? An automobile manufacturer relies on their supply chain to provide them components to go into that automobile. Somebody's got to provide the glass, somebody's got to provide the wiring, somebody's got to provide the spark plugs, somebody's providing the tires, on and on and on. All of those manufacturers make something and send it to you. That is your supply chain. They're feeding into your organization so you can make a final product and bring it to market. Conversely, now we're going to talk about your service network. So whether you're a bank or some type of other financial service or a healthcare company, you're providing a service to customers and you need somebody. You're going to outsource. You're going to hire a third-party vendor, a third-party service provider to provide you either it's processing or paychecks or whatever the case may be is. That's now part of your service network. They're vendors, but we call that your actual service network. The reason why this is important is because there's emphasis in certain controls and risks with respect to each of those segments. In your service network, there's a lot of emphasis on risk, mitigating risk with respect to cyber threats, with respect to privacy threats. You want to make sure that the data you're handing over, whether it's customer data or whether it's employee-based data, or even if it's sensitive internal information such as financials or marketing information or growth strategies handing over to consultants, that you trust them with the overall controls over that kind of data. On your supply chain side, the heavy emphasis is on resilience. Is that particular organization going to be able to provide me, in the case of an auto manufacturer, the batteries that I need to make, for my vehicles? Are they providing me the right tires that I need to put on the types of vehicles, whether they're SUVs, whether it's a pickup truck, or whether it's a regular automobile? Okay, so there's different needs here. What I have been seeing is as they're putting a lot of emphasis on the resilience, particularly in the supply chain, there have not been a lot of emphasis with respect to the overall security controls there. And these organizations in a company's supply chain had become increasingly threatened on the cyber landscape. A lot of hacking groups and a lot of organizations are going after them, shutting them down and causing havoc, ransomware, malware, other type of threats. And it's hurting the parent organization that's trying to make that product. And you face other threats too, as we mentioned, from a resilience perspective. It could be things like from an ESG perspective, it could be, geolocational, geopolitical, it could be weather-related items. But the threats that I'm seeing that they seem to not be following up on much on is the cyber aspect. Now, if we take a look at the service network, there's a ton of emphasis being placed on the cyber side of the house and on the privacy aspects, making sure those postures are pretty solid. But they haven't really been testing a lot, particularly with the critical vendors, as to how resilient they are, and they're able to come back up in the proper time frames based on their business continuity and recovery plans in order to make sure that they're able to satisfy and service their customers. So it's important to share these facts with you and to share this information that I've gathered with respect to the service network and the supply chain. They're two different distinct things, and I want to share that with you because, again, I'm hearing people using these interchangeably, and I'm sitting there going, "Wait a minute, you're talking supply chain, but you're a bank, or you're talking service network, but you make widgets. So Is this somebody doing processing for you since you're the widget maker, or is this a materials provider that's giving you that information? So you have to understand the context of what it's using. So it's very important that you use the proper terminology and use the proper context when you're having that conversation of understanding, is it a supply chain or is it a service network? I hope this tip becomes valuable for you in your conversations within your organization or when you're talking to other people within your field. So that's the tip for the week. I hope you got something out of this. Please let me know if there's, what your thoughts on this are. And also, if you have any additional thoughts or something you'd like me to talk about and like to gain my insight on, please send me a message. Let me know what you'd like to hear, and I'd love to be able to address it on a future episode of TPRM Tidbits. With that, everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, everyone.